There is a particular kind of suffering that arrives not with drama, not with shouting or tears or the slamming of doors, but with the quiet, dawning, humiliating realization that you have been, for a very long time, completely and utterly foolish. This is the story of Jeff, a man who thought he had a secret. He did not understand until it was far too late that he was the secret. Jeff was 40 years old, and he had a good life. A wife, Tina, 38, sharp and warm and capable in the way of a woman who runs two careers simultaneously and makes it look unremarkable. She was a wedding planner by passion and profession, and she had a day job besides. The kind of woman who filled every hour with purpose and never seemed depleted by it. Jeff admired this about her. He also, in the way of people who take good things for granted, barely noticed it anymore. They had 2 children, a home, a life that worked, and for 8 months, Jeff had also had a key to another woman's house. Her name was Miriam, 35 years old, beautiful in a way that had apparently bypassed Jeff's better judgment entirely. She had come into his life through the particular chemistry of proximity and opportunity, the way these things always do. And Jeff had fallen with the specific completeness of a man who has confused being needed for being loved, because Miriam needed things, not emotionally, not deeply, practically. She needed someone to run to the hardware store, someone to wait for the delivery, someone to repaint the garden wall that had been bothering her for months, someone to be available, reliable, present, useful, on whatever Tuesday or Saturday she happened to require it. Jeff was that someone. He painted her house. He fixed things. He drove across town with specific items she had texted him about, with the casual authority of a woman who has never doubted that the request will be fulfilled. And he did it all with the glowing, oblivious devotion of a man who believed he was in a relationship. Miriam had given him a key, a gate remote, full access, in and out as he wished, no restriction, no questions. Jeff interpreted this as intimacy, as trust, as the particular shorthand of 2 people who have become genuinely important to each other. He did not ask himself why. In 8 months, he had never met her friends, never been introduced to her family, never appeared in a single photograph she posted online. He did not ask himself these things because he was keeping his own secret. A wife at home, 2 children, a life that did not know Miriam existed, and the guilt of that secret had apparently consumed all the suspicion he might otherwise have had. He was, in short, too busy lying to notice he was being lied to. It was a Saturday afternoon, when the world as Jeff understood it quietly ended. He drove to Miriam's house the way he had driven there dozens of times before, on autopilot, familiar, comfortable. He had a bag of groceries she had asked him to pick up. He had his gate remote in hand before he even turned into her street. He pressed the button. Nothing. He frowned, pressed it again. The gate did not move. He pulled up slowly, slightly confused, and then he noticed the cars, 2 of them, unfamiliar. One in the driveway, one tucked into the open garage. Not Miriam's car, not anyone he recognized. Jeff pulled away from the gate. He drove to the end of the street and sat there for a moment, looking back at the house. Same house, same gate, same wall he had painted himself 2 months ago. He drove back. He knocked. The gate opened. An elderly couple stood there, a man and woman who looked at him with the polite, slightly guarded expression of people confronted by a stranger at their new home. Jeff looked at them. They looked at Jeff. "Can we help you?" the man asked. Jeff heard himself say, with a confidence that was already crumbling, "I'm looking for my girlfriend. This is her house." The elderly man's expression shifted, not unkind, but definitive. "Son," he said, "we bought this house. We moved in yesterday." Jeff stood at that gate for a moment, that seemed to exist outside of normal time. The afternoon light was completely ordinary. A car passed in the street behind him. A bird landed on the wall he had painted with his own hands. He thanked them. He got back in his car. He sat there, and he did not move. He called her. She answered on the third ring, her voice carrying the particular lightness of a woman who is completely unbothered. "Miriam, I'm at your house. There are people living there. Elderly people. They say they bought it." "Yes," she said. "I sold it." The simplicity of it. The absolute unadorned simplicity. "You sold it," Jeff repeated. "When? Why didn't you tell me?" There was a brief silence on the line, and then Miriam said something that Jeff would hear in his mind for months afterward. At random moments, in the middle of ordinary things, "I didn't have to tell you." 5 words, not cruel, exactly. Just accurate, delivered without drama, or apology, or any apparent awareness that they might constitute a kind of devastation. She did not have to tell him because he was not, and had never been, someone she owed an explanation. Jeff opened his mouth, closed it. "Where are you?" he finally managed. "At my fiancé's house," she said. His name was Kevin, 36 years old. He had been working in China, building something, saving something, planning something. He had been planning, specifically, to come home and marry Miriam. This had always been the plan. Miriam had always known this. The house had been sold because she was moving into Kevin's life. A new chapter, a new home, a future that had been arranged and agreed upon long before Jeff had ever appeared with his hardware store runs and his paint rollers and his hopeful, useful, completely expendable presence. Jeff sat in his car outside a house that belonged to strangers and understood, with the full weight of 8 months landing on him simultaneously, what he had been. Not a secret lover, not someone special, not even really a person in Miriam's story at all. He had been a convenience, a gap filler, someone to call when Kevin was in China and the garden wall needed painting and the groceries needed collecting. Passing time. That was the phrase she used. Later, "I was just passing time with you." Jeff drove home. The house was warm when he got home. Tina was at the kitchen table with her laptop open. Wedding files spread around her, doing what Tina always did, managing multiple things simultaneously with focused, competent energy. Jeff sat down across from her. He was not planning to say anything. He had no idea how to begin. He had a secret he had been keeping for 8 months, and a heartbreak he could not explain, and a confusion so complete it had temporarily bypassed his better judgment entirely. He heard himself ask, "Hey, hypothetically, if a man has been seeing someone for 8 months, and he shows up at her house, and strangers are living there, and she sold it without telling him, and she's apparently been engaged the whole time, what do you think he should do?" Tina looked up from her laptop slowly. She looked at her husband. Jeff saw the question forming in her eyes. The very specific, very dangerous question of a smart woman who has just heard something that does not quite add up. He watched the realization begin to move across her face. "For a friend," he said quickly. "I'm asking for a friend." Tina held his gaze for a moment longer than was comfortable. Then she looked back at her laptop. "Your friend," she said carefully, "needs a therapist." Jeff nodded, swallowed, changed the subject with the desperate energy of a man diffusing something he himself had armed. And then someone knocked on the door. Jeff opened the door. Miriam stood on his doorstep, not frantic, not guilty, completely, serenely composed, dressed nicely, smiling the way she always smiled, carrying the energy of a woman who has come for a perfectly straightforward reason. Jeff's entire body went completely still. She looked at him. He looked at her. "Hi," she said pleasantly. "Is Tina home?" "She's planning my wedding." From the kitchen, Tina's voice. "Who is it?" Miriam stepped past Jeff into the house. "Hi, Tina." Tina came out of the kitchen, smiling the professional smile, of a wedding planner greeting a client. Warm, practiced, welcoming. "Miriam, come in." "Oh, have you met my husband, Jeff?" Miriam turned to look at Jeff. Jeff stood in his own doorway. The man who had painted her house, carried her groceries, held her key for 8 months. The man she had sold a house without telling. The man she had informed, from her fiancé's house, that she had simply been passing time with. She looked at him with the pleasant, neutral expression of a person meeting a stranger for the first time. "Hi, Jeff," she said. "Nice to meet you." Jeff said, "Hi." And that was all he could manage. He attended the wedding. Of course he attended the wedding. His wife was the planner. There was no universe in which Jeff did not attend this wedding. He arrived at the venue on the morning of the event in the passenger seat of Tina's car, wearing the suit she had laid out for him, carrying the expression of a man who has accepted his fate with the hollow dignity of someone who knows, intimately and personally, that he has absolutely no right to complain. The venue was beautiful. The flowers were elaborate. Kevin, tall, relaxed, clearly a man who had spent a year abroad and come home to exactly the life he had planned, moved through the pre-ceremony preparations with the easy confidence of someone who had never doubted for a single moment that this day would happen. Jeff watched him from across the room. Then Tina appeared at his elbow. "Jeff, the sound equipment. It needs to go from the van to the stage. Now please." He went. He was halfway through carrying the second speaker when his phone buzzed. A message from Miriam's number. "Can you make sure the cables are connected properly at the back? Kevin is very particular about sound quality." Jeff stared at his phone. He connected the cables. For the next 6 hours, Jeff existed in a state that had no adequate name. Tina needed him here. Miriam needed him there. Flowers needed moving. Tables needed adjusting. The sound needed checking again. The caterers needed directing to the right entrance. He carried and lifted and connected and directed and smiled at people he didn't know and congratulated a groom he had never met for marrying a woman who had once handed him a paint roller and called it a relationship. He did not see the ceremony. He did not see the first dance. He saw, mostly, the inside of a supply van and the back of a stage, and the particular shade of beige of a venue corridor he had walked 11 times. When it was finally over, when the last guests had drifted out, and Tina was doing her final check, and Kevin and Miriam had left for wherever people go after they become husband and wife, Jeff sat down in a chair in the empty venue, and he talked to himself, quietly, under his breath, the kind of conversation a man has when the version of events inside his head has nowhere else to go. "Women," he said to no one. "Women are cruel creatures." A passing waiter gave him a slightly concerned look and kept walking. Tina noticed. Of course Tina noticed. Tina noticed everything. It was, in fact, one of the qualities that made her exceptional at her job and formidable as a human being. She noticed the distance that had entered her husband since that Saturday afternoon when he had asked a strange hypothetical question about a friend. She noticed the way he sometimes went quiet in the middle of ordinary conversations, the way he talked to himself occasionally, just under his breath, in a register she had never heard from him before. She did not know what had happened, but she knew something had. She booked him a therapist, a good one. She presented it to Jeff with the matter-of-fact care of a woman who loves someone too much to ignore that they are struggling. Even when they refuse to admit it. "I've made you an appointment," she said. "Tuesday at 6. Jeff looked at his wife, this woman who had built 2 careers, who planned other people's love stories with genuine joy, who had noticed something breaking in him without knowing what it was, and had responded not with accusation, but with help. He thought about what he would say to a therapist. He thought about what he could not say. He thought about 8 months. A gate remote. A wall he had painted. A door he had opened to find a stranger on his own doorstep. "I don't need a therapist," he said. "Tuesday at 6, Tina said again. Jeff said nothing, because the truth, the full, humiliating, karmic, completely deserved truth of his situation, was this. He had gone looking for something outside his marriage, and the universe, with the particular creativity it reserves for these occasions, had sent that something directly to his wife's client list. He had painted her house, he had carried her sound equipment, he had watched her marry someone else. And now he was going to therapy, for a heartbreak he could never explain, over a woman who had told him, with complete honesty, that she had just been passing time. He would never recover from this. He also knew, somewhere beneath the self-pity, that he had absolutely no right to. There is a version of this story where Jeff is the victim. He would tell it that way, if he could tell it at all. The woman who used him. The house sold without warning. The fiancé nobody mentioned. The wedding he was ordered around at, like a volunteer staff member at his own heartbreak. But here is the version the universe would tell. A married man with 2 children and a good wife went looking for something he did not need and did not deserve. He found a woman who saw him clearly, more clearly than he saw himself, and used him for exactly what he was offering: availability, usefulness, and the particular blindness of a guilty man who cannot ask too many questions. She did not lie to him. She simply never told him the truth, and he never asked, because asking questions, when you are keeping secrets of your own, is a dangerous business. Jeff sits in a therapist's office on Tuesday evenings now. He talks about stress, about feeling disconnected, about a vague sense that the world has recently played a trick on him that he cannot quite articulate. The therapist nods and takes notes. Tina is glad he is going. And somewhere across town, in a home that was planned and saved for and built properly from the beginning, Miriam and Kevin are just fine.